the Mint Door Podcast with Dr. Karen Tyndall and Dr. Laura Schwint. Are you tired of the burnout cycle? Well, it's time to serve sustainably without sacrificing your well-being. The Mint Door's elite performance coaching can help you activate a holistic approach to your well-being, enhance your leadership and self-mastery skills, and optimize your life for successful personal and professional fulfillment.
Don't put your true best self potential on hold any longer. Begin now by scheduling a complimentary Minty Moment Impact Chat and embody your radiance today. Now, welcome to the Mint Door Podcast. Are you ready to shatter the status quo? Are you ready to ignite your passion and elevate your career? Well, you're in the right place with us here today. We're welcoming a true powerhouse, a force of nature, a visionary who's not just practicing dental hygiene, she's revolutionizing it.
That's right. With over 20 years of clinical mastery, she's seen it all. But she didn't stop there. She took her expertise, her passion, and her infectious energy and built a movement. She's a published author, gracing the pages of RDH Magazine and Inside Dental Hygiene Magazine. She's a sought-after speaker, igniting audiences with her knowledge and wit, and she's the brilliant mind behind The Den, a study club, a national platform, and it's redefining the continuing education. And the Denless, connecting dental professionals to their communities in a whole new way.
So join us, get ready to be inspired, get ready to laugh, and thirdly, get ready to learn from the one and only Janiece C. Ervin.
Hey. Well, hello, Mint Door Podcast listeners. We are honored that you're here with us today, welcoming Janiece Ervin. Janiece, thank you so much for being here to visit with us today. I know that our listeners are going to just love hearing all about you.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the invitation.
Yeah, it's super fun. So my first question for you is, you have a very full background in our profession, and you've transitioned from employee clock puncher to an empire builder, a business owner. Maybe what's one unknown truth that you wish that you knew before taking this leap?
I think as an employee, you always have that situation at work where you're like, I can do this better. Or if I was the boss, it wouldn't run this way. Mm-hmm. And I think when you start to, lean into wanting to do something for yourself, you lean in with those emotions. And I wish I could tell myself back then going, yes, you're smart enough. Yes, you can figure it out, but it's not as easy as you think it's going to be. Because owning a business is hard, whether it's you regulating your own time or regulating others. And I think a lot of us as employees, we don't recognize all the facets of having a business. And once you get introduced to that, at least for me, I definitely have had a lot more grace in looking back at some of my employers and understanding a little bit better on maybe the decision makings that they had in certain situations, because it's tough to lead. It's very tough to lead, and it's very tough to make decisions that not everyone is happy with. And it's one of those things that you learn as you go. It's not something that you're going to know until you start doing it for yourself. So that was something that was very new for me when I started into any of the businesses that I had.
That's beautiful insight, and I love how you would go back and tell your younger self or your previous self what's something that you might say to your future self now that you've gleaned this insight as a business owner?
I think my future self, I would hope that I could look back and go, you stuck with it. You stayed on course, because I love shiny objects and I do get distracted with so many things that we're all interested in, and that I just stayed the course and pushed forward, because there's so many ways that you can distract yourself with thinking you can do it better a certain way. And if you just keep pushing forward and just building on what you know, it's going to come. And it's been hard for me, because I definitely have the tendency to want to add something before maybe it's needed, or advance those steps. And I just have to just relax, pull some of the irons out of the fire, and go, it's not quite time for that yet. And so I hope my future self, I can go back and pat myself on the back and go, you did a good job. You did it at the speed that you were supposed to. And now you can look and go, okay, I'm happy with what I've done.
That's beautiful insight. I love that. Yeah, the shiny objects syndrome and the pulling those things out of the fire before they're ready, like, yeah. So very wise.
It is. Well, we teased this in our introduction, Janiece, but a couple of the irons, the main ones that you have in the fire are your den list and your study club. And
Yes.
then sort of like two shining red hot things right now. So explain to us maybe first of all a little bit about what they are, but what's the secret that you have to blending the education and the community into this platform that will change things, change the way dentistry does things, really, in a way?
So the education platform was built organically on its own. I actually got into it because I needed a way to market my business.
Mhm.
And I'm also, I love to learn. And it was a very selfish way for me to be able to interact with cool people that do amazing things, and of course, learn from them. And then grow myself. And then, of course, grow the people that I'm around that are just well connected in dentistry with just topics that I didn't even know existed. And as I started to have guests, my friend group grew a little bit. And then, of course, my knowledge base grew. And then I started to recognize that there are so many people out there that, even though there's continuing education, at least I feel everywhere, there are still people going, where do I learn? Where can I learn this? Where can I get continuing education? And I'm like, do you live under a rock? Like, your neighborhood dentist is probably hosting a study club.
Mhm.
And there are so many ways to learn. And that's where I started to really enjoy putting information out there, because I was a hygienist in Oklahoma, and I was in a very small town, and I didn't actually spread my wings in dentistry until I moved away and started to live in Colorado. And those are the people that I hope I reach, those people that are, single practice owners, one clinician or two clinicians, where they just have that limited access to expand and grow. And that's where that study club comes into place, because the majority of it is webinar based. So I'm in the hub of dentistry. As you guys know, Denver, we have a ton of smart people here. We are blessed with thought leaders of all different kinds in our industry, and I get to have them as my guests, and they just live down the street.
Mhm.
And so it's really nice that I can bring that to those areas in Nebraska, in Oregon, in Oklahoma, in Texas, to where they don't really get to have those in-person events with those type of speakers. And so that's really exciting for me when I started growing the Den Study Club. And then it started to change my interest, because I started to meet people that had businesses, and the pain point that was for me as a business owner was marketing. Marketing is so hard and so expensive. And that was one thing that I didn't recognize as a business owner, that I had to put so much effort and funds into, that I started to meet people that had businesses, and then I'd see them a couple years later and then they didn't have a business. Their business was no longer there. For a lot of times, it was because they didn't understand how to network, how to market, how to, reach that audience that they needed to grow. And that's where I started to lean into the den list. And that's where all the pain points that I struggled with get checked off, so that I can help people, because that's where I highlight those small business owners, those dental practices that are doing amazing study club events, right around the corner that maybe no one knows about. Or you have an event or a retreat that sounds amazing, and maybe this person in a small town would be like, hey, I'd like to go to Mexico and learn some ergonomics from Caitlin Person, and now that they know that, that's a possibility, they can go. So it just opens doors with all the amazing things that small businesses are doing in our community. I think as a whole, dentistry is just it's very small. It's a small world. And there's so many small communities that are doing big things that sometimes people just don't know about. And so when you have a centralized location where you can go to and you can look what's happening in my area, or maybe I'm vacationing and I want to travel for an event, or I want to see maybe a specialist that's a myofunctional therapist, where I can refer, my coworker or patient if I'm needing some form of training or, consultant. I know that I can go to the den list and find that specialist that I'm going to connect with, because there's so many to choose from. It's just some have better marketing than others. And of course, as you know, it's expensive to be able to do that. So my goal is to really nurture that to where it becomes a very big resource in dentistry, where people can go and go, hey, I need this, or I'd like to attend an event or see a specialist or a trainer. And my hope is that I continue to grow that, and then people are able to grow their business by doing that. And then of course the dental professional can get their need met by getting services or maybe even dental products that they're interested in.
Yeah. I mean, what you say, it makes so much sense. Number one, I have a lot of FOMO of not living in Denver. Okay. It's not fair. It's one of those places where loads of dental conversations happen. So that's amazing. But I can appreciate it from the other side, living in Arkansas. There's not that much dental conversation that goes on here. And, you have the same for Oklahoma. And to be able to have both not only the study club and that education that people can find things, but then the den list that goes with it, it makes the world a little bit smaller. Because I think in our world of dentistry, in our version of the world of dentistry that we're in, we're very lucky that there's a certain group of people that are doing things and it's exciting. And yet for those people who are out with, like you said, one dentist, one hygienist in a practice for one town, they don't have the access to that. So your idea is a way of, making it smaller, the world.
And it just allows people to, you have people that maybe got, they went to school in Nebraska and they got all that education and top of the line technology, and they want to bring it to their smaller town, and they want to grow that. But when you don't have the accessibility to those thought leaders, it makes it a lot harder to expand the excitement of what you're trying to bring to your community. And then of course the journey of trying to find those resources sometimes, and some people are great connectors and you get connected with who you need, but in trying to do that as a small business owner in small towns, it does make it really, really hard. I mean, I didn't start to get connected in my local association until I moved here, because I was about 120 miles away from like Oklahoma City. And so it was far, and we didn't have like the local components that were very active, which is really popular thing in a lot of states. And so if you don't have that network and community that is excited, especially excited about the same things you're excited about, it's more of a struggle to find those interests and those core people to help you, move that along.
Yeah, so valuable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel this 100% as a former practice owner in a rural town that was like 4 hours away from the hub. And just to be able to get on somewhere and see, maybe there was a specialist in my town that would have come in and done a study club in my office. And, I think that's really valuable. And so what I'm sensing from this with the den list is, and it's a little bit of a buzzword, but a sense of community. What are your hopes for that sense of community with the den list?
My hope is that I help small businesses thrive. Like I said before, it's very heartbreaking to see someone put 100% into what they think is a great idea, and it is. And then for whatever reason, no one sees that little fish in the big pond. And you're just like, hey, look at me. I've got something amazing. Please check me out. And it allows for those particular people to not have to, it allows them to be able to reach a market that they wouldn't normally have gotten to. Because when you're out there, and as you know, just on the convention floor, just buying a booth at an event is thousands of dollars.
Mhm.
And I actually have, purchased an event booth space. And to have people that are coming by and you're just wanting to talk to them and telling what amazing thing you have going on, but it's an elevator pitch and you have 10-15 seconds with them because there's someone else behind them, or they're just wanting your candy, or whatever it may be. They just, you're just like, they want your pen, and you're just like going, I have something amazing. Please listen to me. And so a lot of people, when they're making those decisions, they need time. And when you look on a structured format of, a platform to where you can kind of browse, see what you're looking for. You don't have the busyness of a convention floor. You can research a little bit more and then make those decisions. I think that allows the consumer the time to be able to search for what they're looking for and make those actionable steps to reach out to the business owner. Because I love conventions, but as a vendor, it's stressful, and you're trying to get, as much communication and connection as you can so that you can follow up after. And it's hard, especially at those big events, to where you're trying to connect and, be like, oh, I'll touch base with you. And, it looks like a hot lead. And then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, was that a connection? Are we like, is this going to work? And so this allows that extra connection piece for the business owner to go, okay, I'm on the den list and come and check it out. And so I hope that I'm able to give those people that little extra time to where people can explore the business without having to search online and get like a random list of people of businesses.
Mm-hmm. That's really beautiful, because I think that too, as a convention attendee, a lot of times you have really good intention of following up with somebody, but you get back and you misplace their card, or you can't remember exactly how to contact them, and then life just kind of takes over again and you're like, oh. Yeah. So I think that that's super valuable to, just say, hey, I know you're busy. When you have a moment, go to the den list and we're on there, and you'll be able to check out a lot of other great things too.
Basically, the den list is really should eventually be a huge convention floor of amazingness, because you can find what you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that analogy. That's great. Yeah. Fantastic.
That would be cool. I
Mhm.
can see it one day, instead of big conventions having organizing their own floors. Maybe they'll just ask the dentist to say, supply the vendors.
Be amazing.
Yeah.
But because you get new people, you get new people there, but also too, for some small businesses, asking them to pay, $2,500, $3,000, like that's not in their price point. That's not in their budget. And it doesn't mean that they can't provide a service that you need. It's just they're not there financially to do that, or maybe it doesn't make financial sense for them to even be there. So it allows for, practice or companies like that to be able to be visible, even though they aren't able to, showcase themselves at those big conventions.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love how you have the new business owners and the small business owners in your heart.
Yeah, they have my heart. It's a grind. It is. It's a grind, and no, it's not for it's not for the weak.
You are right.
That really nicely leads us on to the next question that we have for you, Janiece, because you've been on a journey, like through your career to get to where you are now. And I'm sure you've experienced, the burnout, the breakthroughs, the breakdowns. What would it be if you could think a single failure that became a really amazing win for you in building what it is that you set out, like the life that you wanted to create for yourself?
Um, well, my single failure was a business partnership that I had with a coworker, and thankfully we are still friends. But we entered our partnership unbeknownst to us right before trauma after trauma in our personal life was going to occur. And for her, she ended up going into a divorce situation. For me, my oldest daughter got sick, and I was, she had lost the ability to walk at 17. And, many trips to hospitals and hospital visits and things like that. And I think when I look at that failure, it was just one of those things that I have to give myself grace with, because there wasn't anything that I could do with just life. Life had really socked her and I in the face. And thankfully, we managed to, get out of it in a positive fashion. But life continued to hit me. And then, of course, burnout set in because my daughter started feeling better, but then I lost my mom. And then after my mom passed away 2 years after that, then I lost my dad. And then, so you're just like going, when does it stop? When does that stop? And then, of course, you kind of like go through the weeds and dig yourself out, and then you start to see light again. But when I look at like the failure, like I said, it was my business partner. I didn't really understand what that meant to be a business partner, how to be there for each other, how to share a business space with one another. I think our personalities were wonderful together, but she would lean on me for certain things and I would lean on her, but it was still uneven to where we didn't really get a good flow of moving forward. And then as soon as we started to hit those rough patches, we just couldn't survive. We didn't sustain it because we didn't have good foundation in our business. We didn't have good foundation in our roles as business owners and business partners. And so we lost a lot of money together, and we both just ate it. And it was a hard thing to realize as a business owner that I had failed. And then, of course, going, do I want to continue on? And for her, that was a no. And then for me, I had to restructure and go, what is it that I want to do? Where is it that I want to move forward? And then that's when I then moved forward on my own journey within, my businesses.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. I think as I hear that, that is such a reassuring story of your life to hear for people, because everybody has those times where it just seems like, when are we going to get a break?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing after the next thing rolls in, and you're just like, I just want some time when it's quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, life isn't like that.
No.
So hearing your story and you being able to get to where you have done now and getting through those, and everybody, it's normal. Nobody's life is without stress.
Yeah.
Even on the good days now, I'm sure you still have stress, but it's that
You just,
experience
yep.
that helps you now.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's been a I always call it stressful blessings, because even though it was stressful, there are still like blessings that came across it, because I definitely did learn from each one, even though maybe it was things that I didn't recognize until the storm was over. So I do consider them stressful blessings.
It's a great definition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that word, stressful blessings.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that from you if that's
You
okay.
do that. Yeah. Make it into a shirt.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I agree. I think that's something that is really important for anyone who has a business to hear. So often we see businesses and we think, wow, they've really done it well. They've done it right and they're doing great. And a lot of times we don't see those stressful blessings that they've been through or are going through in the moment, even. Right. And
Yeah.
so I think it's good the more we talk about that, the more we realize that that's part of the entrepreneurial journey is those stressful blessings.
Yeah.
And
Some are worse than others, but yes.
exactly right.
I often think, though, you hear the term when people say, oh, she or he or they are an overnight success.
Mm.
Oh, overnight successes don't happen
Mhm.
in this world. And it's that whole looking at somebody on social media, you see this side that you're like, oh, their life's all happy and smiley and everything's lovely and they've got a cute dog and their family and this. And that. You don't see the behind the scenes. And it's the
Yeah.
same in business, that you see these people and it's like, wow, they're an overnight success. No, there
No.
was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went in,
Oh
and
yeah.
probably 5 years that went into
Uh-huh.
the
Probably
overnight.
more tears than anything.
Yeah.
Right, right. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was beautiful. And I think that I think it just goes to show how genuine and authentically you care about these people that you're bringing together into the den list. And maybe thinking that you wish you would have had something like the den list when you first started too, right?
Oh yeah. I wish I would have been able to. I've actually been very blessed with the friends that I have acquired, being, like I said, we live in Denver. So I have gotten to be able to have good mentorship with a few of my very good friends, to where they have guided me. But you still have to put in the work, and it's very scary to put yourself out there and try and figure out who to trust in doing business with when you're trying to grow.
Mhm.
And I feel that having a wealth of options for selections and growing your business, or expanding your practice, or looking for someone like the mentor to help you grow your get your culture straight in your practice, you have to be able to look at what's available out there and do your due diligence, because none of this is cheap. None of this is cheap, and you want to go ahead and spend your money where that you're going to come out with the win.
Mhm.
And by providing multiple options for people to be able to make that decision is definitely my goal. And also giving the opportunity for the small business owner to be able to have a piece of the pie,
Mhm.
have a chance at an opportunity with maybe a client that they would not have been able to to interact with before.
Yeah. Yeah. So valuable. Oh, I love your heart. It's just, yeah. So, tell us a little bit about how people find the Den List. And I'm assuming it's the Den List because of Denver. Is that?
It ended up being Den for a company that I had. It was called Dental Explorer Network because I had a travel dental hygiene company right before COVID. And so it was a dental explorer trying to find her network. And then it just so happened to be the Den in Denver. And then I just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
So it just worked out. So now it's the Den List, who is located now in Denver. So it just works. And but really it is a network. So Dental Explorer Network. We're all exploring for some network. So that's the Den List.
Okay. I'm so glad I asked. Thank you. I just assumed it was for Denver, but I like the exploration piece of it there.
Yeah.
Because there's some good puns there with explorer, we all use explorers in dentistry quite a bit.
Yes. Yes, we do. And you explore with your computer to try and find what you need. So
Oh, very good. Well, your website is super simple, thedenlist.com.
yes.
So easy to find. You're also on Instagram.
Yes, we're growing our Instagram. So as we start to put stuff in there, we'll start highlighting some businesses, showing that is the goal, to just make sure that we're getting people out there with small businesses, seeing what they have to offer, and then hopefully getting those connections with their ideal target market.
Excellent. And then you have something very special for new listings. You have some promo coupons and free classifieds. Tell us a little bit about that.
I do. And so the classifieds, well, as you know, everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, most people need a dental employee, and especially a hygienist right now. And so because I know how that feels for, like I said, I used to own a temp agency, and they would always say, help me find somebody. And so with the classified code, the promo code is actually called help me, and you get a free classified to find your new employee, because that's what everyone is feeling right now. They just need a little help. So you'll get a free classified. If you have an event, there's a 50% off promo code. And then if you have a business listing, it's 50% off the business listing. The other thing I will say is the core piece to the Den List is that it's inexpensive marketing. My prices for you to list your business are $200 per year, and right now with 50% off, it's $100. To do a business, to do an event, it's 50% off, so it's $25. It's $25. I mean, it's not meant to break the bank. The marketing for on the Den List is really to get as much resources out there so that people can know what's going on, and it isn't designed to pull out hundreds or thousands of dollars out of people that are already trying to pay for marketing. It really is designed to just make an easy transaction, make it easy for people to find your listing, and make it easy to purchase so that it's something affordable for businesses.
That's amazing. Like, that is beautiful. And, as a business owner who, that's just so simple, so easy, such a no-brainer to say, yes, I want to put myself on the Den List. So thank you for that, because, a lot of this stuff is really expensive. And that's where sometimes, you think you're going to make a decision and then you just kind of just don't.
It makes it very hard. And that's a pain point that I had as a business owner. And I think it definitely solves that pain point and makes it very easy. In the beginning, as far as my business is going, it's small and it's growing. So as we continue to grow, we get more listings on there and begin this resource that we're creating. But like I said, it's not meant to break the bank. There are other personal services like the mentor that people can buy, that they can get that upfront personal service, at their doorstep that they need to put money forth, not for this. Like, this is to let people know you're on the map so they can contact you.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how it grows and what it turns into. And anything else that we didn't touch on today with your business, or that any message you want to get out to entrepreneurs or anyone in our dental profession today?
Well, I think it's always nice when dental professionals can, network with a kind heart and know that there are small businesses out there that need your support. So getting into the habit of supporting small businesses in your local area, supporting those dentists that are creating, continuing education for whether it's, I don't know, CEREC work, or there are so many great thought leaders out there that have yet to be discovered. And so it's like, when someone is putting on something new and amazing, I would hope that within our community and within their community, they can support them so that those businesses can thrive. Because the more knowledge we have out there, the better we are as people. Because as you know, when you're learning, you and I could be teaching the same exact thing, but maybe I teach it in just that different of a way, and it connects with that person. And so we need everyone to be able to have their passion out there and put it out there, because it's not going to resonate with anyone, but will resonate with someone.
That's great, because I think, like you said, there are so many people in our profession that could venture into their own business, doing something, teaching something, bringing their talents forth. And this really makes it encourages them, I think. It's a beautiful encouragement.
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for everything that you're doing, and how you are just continuing to network and bring the beauty of your talents to as many people as possible. We really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And listeners, I hope you found some encouragement from listening to Janiece today. I think it was a beautiful heart-centered connection. And we hope that we adore you too. So thanks for being with us. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Mint Door podcast. Before we go, don't forget, all of the things that we talked about, all the links for the Den List will be in our show notes below. So check those out, and check out the Den List. Thanks for listening, and subscribe for more holistic performance content.